Hey, what's going on? It is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Kurtzman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday to help you understand the technical side of the real estate world. And what we're talking about today is a demon that haunts many people, from getting their real estate license to working deals to following up with past clients, and it's that big ugly word of procrastination. And I have my own love affair with procrastination, so I'm speaking from experience here today. And what I want to share with you guys today is just quickly why procrastination results in just everything getting worse than what it probably could be, and then also some ways to overcome things as they come up to avoid that procrastination from swelling in perceived importance. That's really a big thing with procrastination, is as time goes on, usually the perceived importance of whatever it is that you're procrastinating swells bigger and bigger and bigger and becomes more and more of an issue. So that's absolutely something that you might not think about when you're thinking about starting a real estate career or running your real estate business, but it's an overlying theme that can really put a damper on all aspects of your life, not just your business, not just your career, not just your growth. So stick around, because today we're talking about overcoming procrastination, getting things done. I'm John Kurtzman. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor.
Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
And welcome back to this week's episode on overcoming the big P word, procrastination. Now, why procrastination? Why is that bad? Well, again, as I was just saying before the little intro, the longer you wait for something, the more our mind starts to perceive that it's a more and more important thing. Because obviously, if it wasn't important, we would have just did it. If it's something unimportant, if it's something that's not that significant, we usually just do that. It's not that big of a deal. But when we don't do that, when we avoid doing something, that's where our mind starts working like, oh, this must be important, we need to get this right. And sometimes it's just really insignificant things with that. So some of the stuff is going to be pretty common sense, and if it's stuff you already know, it's probably stuff we just need to hear again. One of my favorite quotes is, training isn't something you did, it's something you do. And not just physical training, but mental training as well. It's something you want to do on a daily basis. It's very easy to fall back into this trap of procrastination, no matter how many times you have overcome it. So it's good to have these tools in your belt. Now, a question I want to ask, though, prior to us getting into overcoming, and really this is a good exercise in overcoming this, but why? Why are you procrastinating this particular activity? What is the larger underlying problem that's resulting in you not wanting to do this? Whatever the thing might be, maybe you've got a lead that comes in off of your website and you're procrastinating calling them back. Or maybe you're studying for your exam and you're procrastinating studying. You got your exam scheduled, but you're not studying. You keep putting it off. Say, okay, I'll study tomorrow. Or maybe you have a client that you need to call them and tell them their offer got rejected, but you keep putting that off because you don't want to have that tough conversation. And so understanding the why, first and foremost, what is the reason why you're procrastinating, is going to help you better diagnose, okay, are there bigger problems here? Are there real problems? Or what can I do to overcome this and fix this? So just asking that simple question of why. And this could be something, maybe, again, a lead coming in off of your website. Why are you not responding to them right away? Because we could go on and on about all the statistics of how internet leads, you don't respond to them within 5 minutes, blah, 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 they go away, they never talk to you ever again. So why, if that's the make it or break it for an internet lead of contacting them right away, why would you procrastinate that? Well, there's a lot of whys, and depending on you and where you are in your business and your journey is going to depend on what that why is, but I'll throw out a couple here that could be. So probably one of the biggest why people will procrastinate items is that they don't know what they're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, I could understand why you'd be terrified of moving forward when you're not sure of how to move forward. Let's say you get that lead that comes in off of your website and you don't know what to say to them. Or you're studying for your exam and you don't know what to study. Or you've got a client that you've got to, that other example I gave, a call back to update them, maybe a current client on the status of an offer, that they just submitted another offer on like the 4th or 5th house that they've been trying to get, and their offer got rejected again and they already got outbid. The house is already under contract. Now, why in that situation? Well, is it because you don't know how to break that news to them? And you want to be honest with yourself here, because most of us are never going to be proud to admit the reason why we're wrong. A lot of times we're going to look in other directions, at other people, at other reasons why we might be right, and those reasons are why this situation is wrong. But when you realize that it all comes back to you and you're the only thing it is that you have control over, you want to turn the lens back on you. You want to understand, okay, why is it specifically, why am I procrastinating this? Is it because I don't know what I'm doing with this particular topic? And when you can be honest with yourself over, okay, that's the reason why, well, now the answer is obvious. That's what's going to fix your procrastination. You don't have a problem with procrastination. You have a problem with not knowing what you're doing and being afraid to do what you don't know what you're doing with. So what's the prescription for that? Well, that's maybe some training on what it is we're talking about, and also some confidence. And that might be all you need to fix that problem. And that might be what the source of the procrastination is. Or it could be that you're overambitious. Now, what does that mean, that you're overambitious? That you like to say yes. And don't get me wrong, this can be a very powerful quality in sales and business, of being overambitious and being willing to say yes when other people would say no. But how is that going to cause procrastination? I mean, usually when you're gaining momentum as you're growing your business, you don't have a problem getting things done, but you do have a problem maybe with the time that you have available to get things done. And maybe that's the reason why that you're procrastinating. This might not be the case if you're a new agent, unless maybe you're just doing this on the side and you've got a crazy full-time job or something like that, or another business that you're running that's taking up all of your time and attention. So you might have limited time for real estate, or maybe real estate is your main business. But there's only so much real estate that you could sell on an individual level. And you might say, well, John, I don't want to have a real estate team. I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to start my own brokerage. Well, at a certain point, you're going to hit that limit to where, as an individual, there's only so much it is that you could do. And especially if you're this overambitious person who likes to say yes to stuff, you're going to hit that limit a lot faster. Now, again, this is a good quality to have. This isn't necessarily a bad quality. This isn't the problem. This is the reason why we're maybe procrastinating. And so now, what is the answer to this? Well, if we have too many things to do, we really have two options. Either option A, eliminate. And I want to hang on this one for a second before we talk about option B. Because there's a lot of things that the longer it is, especially you've done them, the more essential they may seem when they're completely pointless. So there might be certain parts of your business. Now, when you're new, it's harder to tell what is a waste of time and what is going to give you a good return on your time. But as you start to identify what it is that's truly wasting your time, that's not giving you any return on investment, remember, what's your goal as a real estate professional? Your goal as a real estate professional, your goal, the reason why you're in business, is to make money. That's to some degree of your business, it involves making money. That's usually the generalized result that you're expecting, is money. Now, how you go about that and earning the money, a lot of different ways to go through it, but ultimately at the end of the day, the goal is money, and we earn that money by serving our clients. So when you're thinking about the things it is that you're doing on a daily basis, that's really what you want to relate it back to. How does that translate to this end result of money? And you might say, well, John, you can't just think about you and your money. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't just think about your money. And that's why, again, we extended that. Okay, now how do we, in order for us to get that result, what do we have to do? Well, we have to provide the service of buying or selling a house to our clients, or maybe renting or property management, depending on what you're doing. What can you eliminate that doesn't directly contribute to you helping people buy and sell houses? That's the question you want to ask first and foremost. What can you eliminate? What are the time wasters? And usually most people can do this. This is tough though, because you might be eliminating things that do result in business. And so now you're cutting back your business, which that's a dangerous territory to be in. Because really, when you're in this situation where you're having to eliminate stuff, where you've got so much stuff it is that you're doing, you're having to cut things out, there's only so much you can cut. There's only so much fat that you could trim before you start cutting away things that actually do produce revenue for your business. So at this point, usually you're on the cusp of something bigger that you're either going to retract down and become smaller, because being at 100% red line is not sustainable. There's only so long you can do that on an individual basis before you start kind of dying off. Whether it's you just get sick, or you just need a break, or you want to take a vacation, or there's a change in the market or something like that, it's really difficult to maintain that 100% maxed out red line nonstop. So when you find yourself at this cusp, you'll either eventually fall back a little bit and drop your production level, or you'll take it and jump to that next level of growing yourself further. And that might just start out with maybe just some sort of assistant that you can, option B, delegate. So you want to ask yourself, what is it if time is the issue? Now notice how this is the issue up here is different. So procrastination, the reason why you procrastinate is not the same for everyone. You have to really hone in on that particular situation. What is it that's causing you to not get this done? And really just understanding this is the biggest first step you could take to overcoming it. So obviously with this completely different problem, rather than we don't know what we're doing, the problem is we do know what we're doing, but there's only so many hours we have in a day. And everything that takes our time, we really want to start out with what takes the most of our time. We want to eliminate anything, again, that doesn't directly translate to business. At least for now. Maybe if it's something that helps us with long-term business, we can maybe bring that back later. But again, that's the reason why you want to be careful as you're eliminating, because as you're eliminating, you might be eliminating things that are actually creating business for you. So that's why it is really important, if you do want to continue the growth trajectory of your business, that you begin to move into this delegation. Starting off with, what are the things that are taking the most time out of your day that you could have somebody else do? And usually this starts with you just hiring, in the real estate space, hiring an assistant. You've maybe been an individual realtor, sales associate, broker associate, whatever you are, practicing real estate, doing it all yourself. But now there's a lot of paperwork for what we do here. And it's not complicated for the most part, especially once you're dealing with it on a daily basis. But there's a lot to keep up with. There's a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot. And I would venture to say, this might not be the case, but if you do have a problem with procrastination, you're maybe not always the most organized person, and you might not always be the best at crossing T's and dotting I's and making sure everything is done correct every single time. So what do? Well, you delegate. You find somebody who could fill in that weakness for you, somebody who can be very organized, somebody who could stay on top of what needs to get done, where your different clients are at, what stage they're in, what are the to-dos, what are the next steps, basically just kind of organizing and managing all of that information for you. Or maybe that's what you're good at, and you're not as good at talking with people. Well, then again, it's, okay, what are the the things that are your strengths, and how can you spend more time on what's your strengths, and how can you either eliminate or delegate the things that you're not as good at, that takes more time. And so that'll help you understand, again, just the why. And there could be other reasons why. Maybe there's other things. Maybe it's that you don't like the person. Maybe you don't want to return a call to this client because you don't like this client. Maybe they're really frustrating. You know, you talking to them is going to result in them having this big blow up, and they're probably going to fire you and not want to buy their house with you anymore. You know what? Just make the phone call, get it over with, and move on. Because you holding yourself in limbo of hoping that the client is going to all of a sudden like you when you know they don't like you, well, just get it over with. Go find somebody else to work with. Or if you're going to deal with them, quit wasting time just procrastinating. Because in hindsight, when you look at the procrastination, it's just basically sitting there on pause. Nothing's getting accomplished. We could also talk about, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are studying for your exam. And studying for your exam, that's a huge opportunity for procrastination. And usually that falls under this one here, of the don't know. It could also be that the overambitious thing of you maybe when you thought about getting your real estate license, you're like, I'm going to go take my real estate class to get my license. I could do that. Look, I could go take one of these night classes, or I could do it on the weekends, or I could do this online course on my own time, or whatever the case may be. You might have been a little overambitious with your time, which again, that's a good quality to have, because if you could leverage that, you could really get things done, and you being willing to say yes when other people are saying no, or that's too hard, or that's too difficult, you're able to seize opportunities. But again, that procrastination can be tough. So again, try to understand what it is. Is it that you don't know? Okay, well, what's the answer then? It's just more studying. And so when it comes now to translating, once you understand the basics of what's going on and why you're procrastinating, and you really understand this monster that you're dealing with, now how do you overcome that? Small steps. Small steps, small task, immediate action. So I'm sure we've all been in the situation where we have procrastinated and we eventually got it done. Whether that's your taxes, whether that's passing your real estate exam, whether that's you already have a real estate license and maybe you procrastinated at first of getting started and joining a broker. Maybe you're procrastinating about starting the class, but you're just really not enjoying what your life is right now, and you really want to do real estate, but you're kind of stuck in that procrastination, and the why maybe is that you don't know if you're going to be able to be successful with it, or you're not sure if you're going to be able to pass the exam or anything like that. Whatever situation that you have overcome, at some point you took action. At some point you decided, I'm taking action. You ended the procrastination. If you've ever ended procrastination before, it comes really in an instant. And that instant is the shift in momentum. The inertia, if we're going to use physics terms here, the whole inertia, object at rest stays at rest, and object in motion stays in motion. So once you start to put your plans into motion, once you start to take some immediate action, and look, you're not going to eat the elephant in one bite. You know, they have that saying, that phrase, that old wives' tale, that whatever you call these things, parable, fable. You don't eat an elephant in one bite. You eat it one bite at a time. And now none of us here, of course, are eating elephants, or at least no one I know of is eating elephants. But the metaphor is, you're not going to close a house in the blink of an eye. You're not going to find the ideal client and show them a house and close on it all in the blink of an eye. You're not going to pass your exam in the blink of an eye. But you're going to take little actions. You're going to take small steps, small tasks, small things, small little progresses that you make. And if you continue to make them, you want to take immediate action and maintain momentum. Once you get your train rolling down the tracks, you don't want it slowing down. You don't want it stopping. You want to maintain that momentum, because as you start to pick up speed, this procrastination is going to go further and further and further and further behind you. But that's not going to happen, again, instantly. It's going to happen slowly and gradually. Think of a train leaving a station. At first, it doesn't even seem like it's moving. You hear the sounds of the train, and you maybe kind of see it maybe start to budge a little bit, but then what happens? It keeps moving, and it keeps moving, and then the wheels start turning, and you start to be able to see them turn, and then they start to go a little bit faster as they start to move out of the station, and then they start to move a little bit faster as they gain speed, and they start to go even faster and faster and faster and faster until something causes them to slow down. Which there will be bends in the road and bends in the track in your life ahead. There will be times where you fall off the rails, where you go off the rails, where you start procrastinating again. And it's just as easy to pick this all back up. When you go back down to zero on your momentum, it's the same thing. Immediate action, small steps, small tasks, small little things that you could get done, little accomplishments, little wins, as they're called. That's really what you should be focusing on. What little wins can you find? Because that's going to help you pick up momentum. That's going to help give you the acknowledgement that you need, that you're doing the right things, that you're on the right track, is when you start to have these little wins, these little accomplishments, these small tasks. You'll never accomplish anything if you don't take the first step. You also won't accomplish it if you don't take all the other subsequent steps after the first step. So take it one piece at a time. You're not going to do whatever it is that you're trying to do in the blink of an eye. If it's something you do in the blink of an eye, it's probably not that big of a deal that you're procrastinating about it. So try to break this down almost like a video game. Video games are really good with this, with checkpoints. Look, if with all these video games that kids play, adults play, if whatever progress you made gets completely lost every time you leave that video game, well, one of two things would happen. Either people would never leave the video game, or people would get frustrated of having to start over from the beginning every single time and just quit playing them. So you letting your momentum die down and not having any little wins, whether it's all or nothing, is like, all right, I'm going to go get my real estate license and I'm not accomplished until I've got the license. Well, you ignore all these little checkpoints along the way. That's really frustrating, of this kind of all or nothing type of approach. So you want to break this down into smaller checkpoints, levels that you're accomplishing and achieving. And it starts off with really simple, really basic things that you're just, okay, did that, did this, and then you move on to the next thing, and they get progressively harder. So as you try to assess a task, maybe that's studying for the exam. If you just think of this big thing of beating this game that is studying this exam, that's hard to wrap your mind around. But if you start off with, okay, let me start off by looking at what chapters are the most important. And now that I know that these chapters are the highest percentage of the exam, let me focus on this chapter, and let me start reviewing the key points in this chapter, and let me get this one chapter done. Now, is that everything? No, but that's a small step. That's a small task that's going to result in some immediate action that's going to help you gain and maintain momentum, which is ultimately going to get done whatever it is that you need to get done. If you could stick with this long enough and maintain the momentum, you will get whatever it is that you're trying to do accomplished. But you got to give yourself some little wins to get knocked out along the way. So look, that's the tips I got for you guys today on overcoming procrastination. I know this isn't specific to real estate. I tried to relate this to real estate for you guys here. But for any of you that are watching that maybe do things other than real estate, like whether it's personal life, or maybe you have another business or another job, these same principles, these same topics, whether you're in school, this is universal. This isn't specific to real estate at all. So if you're having any issues in procrastination, again, think of, first and foremost, diagnosing the why. Why is it that you're having this procrastination? What is the bigger underlying problem that's resulting in you just ignoring this task? And then number two, once you know what the problem is, how do you overcome that, and broken down into small steps where you've got the opportunities to give yourself little wins along the way. Now, this might sound kind of silly to go out and do something like this, but you'd be surprised, or if you take this little bit of control over your life, how much better you'll be at avoiding that big P word that is procrastination. So look, that's about all the time we've got for today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you've liked today's episode and you want more generalized information, just overall become a better person, to be a better business person, definitely hit the like on today's episode if you want more topics on that, or whatever past episodes that you like. Hit that like button, and that tells us what information you guys want to learn more about, so we could give you the information that's going to most help you build your real estate career and what your real estate dreams and objectives are. If you need some help planning out your business, you got to take post-licensing. Look, this is a real-life story of me procrastinating. I procrastinated in taking my post-licensing course until right before my deadline. And that's usually what most people do. Why? Because we go through the pre-licensing and we hate it. It beats us up. It tears us down. And we're like, all right, now that I finally did this, if we make it through to pass the exam, then we're like, all right, forget about post-licensing. I don't want to put myself through that same process again. But look, post-licensing is completely different. Post-licensing isn't a requirement to practice real estate. That's your pre-licensing. And in pre-licensing, they want to make sure that you know laws and rules and the basic fundamentals of how to legally practice real estate. Well, practicing real estate legally doesn't necessarily mean making money. It just means not breaking the law. That's what you're really learning about in pre-licensing, is how to not break the law, how to do things within the confines of the law. Whereas post-licensing, I waited to the last minute, to right before the deadline, to take this course, and I kicked myself for that because this is so much more real world. It covers, the first thing you're doing is business planning, to help you create a plan for what you're trying to achieve in real estate, the income level it is that you're trying to achieve, how many houses, how many people it is that you want to help, getting this all dialed in so you know exactly what you need to be doing on a daily basis to achieve your dream real estate career, because you've already got that defined and laid out. So that's the business planning section, and that's also in our post-licensing course, in addition to covering how to present offers to clients, how to lead generate, how to understand the market. Again, a lot of real-world topics that are designed to help you jumpstart your real estate career. So if you're not signed up for post-licensing yet, get yourself enrolled in that. You can take it as soon as you have your real estate license in order to get that for credit. So as soon as you're licensed, the day after your license, you can go in there and start taking post-licensing. You just have to have it done by your renewal deadline. Otherwise, your license will become null and void, and you don't want that to happen either. So get that post-licensing done. And if you're needing to get your real estate license, we actually have some great bundle packages that include our pre-licensing course that's required by the FREC, as well as our exam prep study tools to help you pass the exam on your first try, as well as that post-licensing course to help you jumpstart your real estate business once you have your license. That's called our Complete Jumpstart Package. And if you want more information on that, give us a call, 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. It's about all the time we've got for today, so thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to tune in on Friday for State of Real Estate. That's all the time we've got for this week. I'll see you guys on Friday.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.